Hey braid lover, it's me, your girl Camilla, also known as Miss Hair and Humor on social media, and I created Knotless Nation to amplify this pain-free method that changed my whole career in the beauty industry. So whether you are here as a client or a professional or a hobby braider, we're going to talk all things knotless and start at the top. The objective of this class is just to introduce you to what a knotless braid is and how to recognize the difference between a traditional box braid and a knotless box braid. Because believe it or not, some people still either don't know the difference or they actually never heard of knotless braids. So if you gain any knowledge from this, all I'm asking is that you share it with someone that will find this information valuable. How do you know if you have a great install? Are all knotless braids created equal? Here's a hint. They're not. It really depends on the integrity of the braider and the quality of the work itself. So what are box braids though? Box braids are individually plaited sections of hair, usually with square parting, hence box braids, wrapped in a synthetic fiber or human fiber secured by literally a knot at the base. Box braids are a styling option most commonly worn by women of African descent and are considered a protective hairstyle option because the client's hair is covered from the elements and manipulation, which allows the client's hair to grow untouched. Now, that does not mean that braids grow your hair. It just means that your hair is growing and is allowed to grow in peace without manipulation. As we all have seen, box braids can also be done with triangle part or stylized parts and still be considered traditional box braids as long as it has that knot at the base. What is the problem with traditional box braids? Well, when done incorrectly, it can pull up the root of the client's hair where that knot attaches to their head and causes the number 2 reason for hair loss among Black women, which is traction alopecia along the hairline. Another problem with traditional box braids is that they can be crowded, right? A lot of times you'll see the knot at the base and you won't see the parting. There's a lot of missizing done with the amount of fiber used and the amount of the client's hair that's used. Obviously, this depends on the install itself and again, the integrity of the braider, but this is a very general overview of some of the key problems that people have with a traditional box braid install and why knotless braids are literally what I consider to be the future. So what are knotless braids? Knotless braids are box braids, but they are the more friendly, lightweight, scalp-friendly way to install and secure synthetic or human fiber to the client's hair without the knot at the base, hence making them knotless. Knotless braids are box braids installed with a technique called feed-in. Client's hair is sectioned off in the same way, except the hair is added little by little, creating a more natural, pain-free braid that does not pull at the root. So what are the key differences between knotless braids and traditional braids, and how do you know if you have a great install? Keep in mind, this all depends on the skill of the braider and the integrity of the braider. But all things being equal, here are the differences that you should pay attention to. First thing first, as the name implies, knotless braids should actually be knotless. It does not mean a small knot. It does not mean a tiny knot. It means there's no knot at the root. Knotless braids should also lay flatter on the client's head when done correctly. Remember, traditional braids have a bulkier look, but with knotless, it's a lot more spacey and lays flatter on the scalp. Also, knotless braids are less damaging to the scalp. It's way less likely that a client will develop traction alopecia with knotless braids because the hair used for the braid should be balanced to the amount of hair that is sectioned off in the client's head. Remember that piece by piece adding in? That's exactly why this is a key difference. Another difference is that traditional braids have to age before the client styles them, upward of 3 weeks to sometimes a month, Whereas knotless, they can be styled right away with little to no discomfort. With knotless braids, you can absolutely see more of the client's scalp. But newsflash, that's a good thing. Your scalp needs oxygen. Your scalp needs to breathe. Your scalp still needs to be cleaned. And because you can see more scalp means you can access your scalp more easily, therefore cleaning it better, as I discussed in my ebook, Beyond the Braids. Lastly, with knotless braids, based on the feedback of my clients only, might be true, might be not, but knotless are also quicker to take down. Again, this is generally speaking, but I assume it to be true because of the way the hair is added to the client's hair. The way the synthetic hair is added to the client's hair, it should be easier to take down based on that feed-in technique. So to summarize, knotless braids are a safer alternative than traditional braids. They do not pull hair at the root to add the fiber. They are less painful. They lay flatter on the scalp. They are a lot more comfortable. They look more natural. And they are easier to maintain and remove. So just for fun, we're gonna take a look at a few celebrity photos just so you could see the difference. And when you look at magazines while you're waiting on the train or waiting in line, you can kind of pay attention to if you see knotless or if you see traditional braids. Because again, rumor has it that people are being done dirty out in these streets. So I'm gonna put a few pictures of some popular faces with braids just to test your knowledge, and I'll see you in the next video with more information about knotless braids.